Hello, I'm CEO Captain Bill Kirk with weathertrends360, and we're very excited to be part of this DOMO AI Innovation Summit here today. And we're going to talk about year-ahead weather forecasting for big businesses, anywhere in the world. It all started with me about 35 years ago with a walk with Stormman Norman Schwarzkopf. He said, "You're the scientist, give me an answer, and don't change your mind once you give me a forecast." Throughout physics and everything we learned in college. Again, what DOMO is going to help us do here, though, is that 1/3 of our GDP is weather and weather-sensitive industries, retailers, suppliers, Wall Street, financial services. These industries are very, very weather-sensitive to the tune of $9 trillion. So DOMO's revolutionized our technology. We're very excited about the partnership here that we just announced and the technology they've built for us. So let's talk year-ahead weather. We're talking way into the future, a year ahead, by mile, everywhere on Earth, predicting temp, rain, and snow, sensible weather metrics that have a huge relationship to seasonal sales and everything you and I buy. These robots, ask them, ask Alexa, Siri, they'll all tell you, I only have weather information for the next 10 days, right? That's the science of physics, is 10 days out, 2 weeks out. They cannot do year-ahead weather. Fortunately, Schwarzkopf sent us down the path of thinking statistics and climate cycles that is math-based, that AI loves math, not so great with physics. So again, we've got the DOMO solution here. It's mobile, it's the website, it's incredible technology. So we say their DOMO robots are a lot more intelligent than some of the AI Siri type bots. We start with actually not only our software solution available on DOMO, we actually now have these solutions that you can get right into your DOMO instance with our year-ahead reports. Some folks like reports, and the neat thing is DOMO's built kind of agentic AI that will actually read this report for you, read the maps, and give you intelligence out of that report without even reading it. So it's really cool technology they've helped us build. The other thing we do is we predict equity performance for about 100 equities, weather-sensitive equities, from retailers to suppliers to airlines. Weather influences all those folks. We'll talk about that. So again, it's another solution that's available in the DOMO store. The last piece here is kind of severe weather. What do we see in the year ahead? What do we see in the next 2 weeks? So it's a big hot topic right now with all the severe weather across the US. So again, another agentic AI type feature on top of these reports. And again, it looks like it tells you where tornadoes and floods and hurricanes and those things that can have a secondary influence on your business. When we first commercialized our technology in 2002, and our first client was Walmart, it was a report-based solution. This is how we delivered year-ahead intelligence to our retail supply-like customers. That has evolved, and then we went into a web portal that allowed clients to slice and dice weather information, not sales information, but weather information. And then about 2013 is when we brought in predictive sales analytics, predicting seasonal sales by store, by warehouse, across millions of retail geographies everywhere in the world. So today we can actually tell you week by week out a year what your business is going to do to help you with all sorts of business challenges. So DOMO's talking now here in 2025 is taking this to a whole new level. Right now you can actually, it saves tons of time. We have clients that have actually said this saves us 7 people, thousands of man hours of work with this DOMO agentic AI solution. So the first step in our process to predict year-ahead weather is, first thing we got to do is we got to collect about 83 billion weather metrics around the world every single day. The next phase then is 205 redundant sources from governments, academics, universities to collect all that world's weather history, satellite data, QC it, again, automatically collection and processing this data every single day. It's 32 million grid points. That's every single mile. So no matter where you have a store or a business or an outcome that we need to predict, we're down to that mile everywhere on Earth. So it's 88 weather metrics in the short term. It's those temp, rain, snow metrics a year ahead. 2.7 million retail geographies of Walmart, Target, Kohl's, wherever your customers plan their business. We can help with that. The next thing is to analyze your point of sale data. We want to collect your seasonal sales data for the past few years, correlate it, model it to project those sales a year ahead. The next step is then, we run it through our process. It takes about 30 seconds. Thank you, Amazon and DOMO. It makes it very fast. The goal is to predict your sales. The next thing, we have to cleanse it. We have to detrend your sales data. We have to remove seasonality. There's a lot of agentic AI type features that have to automatically fix even sales data. So the end result is our power of 1 degree technology, how every 1 degree of change influences your seasonal sales. So let's talk about air conditioners, heaters, because you're going to hear from Adia how she's used this DOMO 360 solution. Every 1 degree hotter in the spring, summertime, there's a 7 to 15% bounce in air conditioner sales. 10 degrees hotter, about a 70% increase in air conditioner sales. Now the downside is 10 degrees colder, can be down 70%, right? So understanding that's weather's influence is kind of what our Power of One technology does. And then again, the output is to predict by week, by warehouse, by Walmart, by any geography, what your sales are going to do a year ahead relative to what happened to you last year. So it allows you to plan all these Inventory, right? How much to buy or make, right? If you're going to buy the product, you're planning that probably a year in advance, how much you're going to make in China or wherever your product's being made. Next phase is then the logistics of getting it from point A to B, all the weather's influences along the route. Then you got to stock it, right? You don't want to put all your air conditioners in an area that's going to be cold. You want to put them all in an area that's going to be hot. So where do you allocate your inventory? The next phase is advertising marketing. Don't try to sell me an advertising story about your air conditioners if it's 50, 60 degrees outside, right? So timing it in the right weather is very critical. Labor scheduling, store traffic. These are all things that our Power of One Degree DOMO solution predicts for you. Energy consumption. Obviously, a really hot summer like last year in June, your energy budgets go way up, right? And then other years are cooler, they go way down. This is an unknown in the retail, any business really, predicting your environment. Severe weather has hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, droughts, fires. We had a lot of that this year, we're gonna have a lot here in 2025. So how does that influence your business? The end game is that you have a happy customer, you have the right product, the right place at the right time. The challenge AI has with weather industry is that it's physics-based, right? So if it's just one simple drop in the ocean, that's simple physics, we can predict that storm, that cold front. The challenge in meteorology, though, is that you have thousands upon thousands of interactions in the atmosphere, not only at the surface, but all the way up. This makes physics chaos. It's constantly changing. AI has made our physics processes faster, but it has not made it more accurate, and it can't go beyond a week or two at the very most. So again, how are you going to go out a year ahead? So what we did, again, thanks to Schwarzkopf some 35 years ago, is started thinking differently, more math-based. This is sine wave theory. If you can figure out how this applies to year ahead weather, then you're hired, because this is what we do. It's predicting using math and sine curves to predict the future. So again, trade secret, that's all I'm gonna say about that for now. Examples of accuracy, I'm talking year ahead weather, how accurate was it? So the winter forecast, everyone used it, physics and AI, they all came up with really hot on the East Coast, really cold in the West. That was kind of the theme from every single weather company. Ours was the opposite. We said the East Coast would be the coldest of 10 years. Warmer in the West, polar opposite what AI and physics weather forecasting technology said. The reality was that's exactly what happened. We had the coldest winter in 10 years nationally. It was pretty much in the eastern half of the country. Winter was the driest in 14 years. Again, so these bars, the blue is where we say when it's cold, reds are where it's hot. Dotted line, if it's perfect, will be on the tip of each of those bars. So score this in the 80% range for our year ahead by week forecast. Again, and this is tracked everywhere in the world. Again, NOAA, you've probably seen NOAA puts out a winter seasonal outlook. Again, stuff they say, again, today for next month, whatever we said a year ago for next month is exponentially more accurate to the tune of about 85%, 86% over the last 15, 20 years. So again, things that we actually say, if you want to quantify it, the error in our forecast is equivalent to Google's day 5, week 2 forecast. So stuff we're saying a year ahead is better than physics-based, the best of the AI in the short range week 2 forecast. So again, that's the power of planning year ahead. So what does all this mean for you? Let's hear from Casey at Midea, who actually helped us revolutionize this technology with DOMO's help over the past year, and how it's instrumental in changing how she does business at Midea.
Hi, I'm Casey. I'm the competitive intelligence specialist for the home comfort team at Midea. Here at Midea, we've been using weather trends for over 9 years with the Power of One year ahead forecasting, and we use this to forecast our seasonal products such as fans, heaters, air conditioners for all of our major customers. The great thing about the DOMO and Weather Trends software solution is that now I can see all of those answers in one place. I can see our historical sales data as well as what Weather Trends is predicting for our future sales data, all tied in with the weather that we can normally see in a separate platform. And this is great to help me get quick answers about specific weeks or what we're forecasting to get an answer over to my sales team or to my president.
Now let's tap in. Our CTO, Matt Alonso, has been working with the DOMO ACE teams over this past year to build this DOMO WT360 solution that's scalable across any industry. Matt has been instrumental working with the DOMO teams here for the past year. So we want to talk about, again, how we've gone from a report syndicated based solution, 15, 20 years ago, to kind of a web portal solution, 15 years ago, to a data as a service predicting year ahead sales analytics. But again, it was a static Excel data file, to now the DOMO 360 app solution that's a completely interactive software environment here. So now we're seeing that same sales plan here, but we're now in this DOMO software environment. It's an interactive environment. So Matt, if we want to look at just the timing, right? We predict year ahead sales and we predict year ahead timing. So what these light blues are showing is when we think this category's seasonal sales are going to start across these warehouses. This is a particular retailer. We've built in about 2.7 million retail stores and geographies and warehouses. However your customers plan their view of the world, we can build that into these types of software solutions. We see the season timing is light blue for start. Dark blue is the peak selling weeks. Those are very critical weeks. And then the purples are kind of when your season's over. It's ending in that particular warehouse. Matt, but back on the sales forecast. So let's drill into some of these. So we see here first, we've got some weeks that are 120% up, sales up 110%. This was a phenomenal 2024 sales season. It was a lot of green. Greens are good, reds are bad. Reds means my sales are down year on year, the percent change. But now, beyond this previously static version, now we have a much more interactive. So Matt, if we go to the analyst view, right now I can see all that data. I can see, yikes, in 2025, here I'm showing you the power of 1 degree. So it's colder, 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 not looking so great. Temperature trends, precip trends year ahead, and sales trends year ahead. So the good news here is, the bad news, I see a sea of red of down 48,000 units, down 19,000 units, down 21,000, but I got 2 exceptionally strong weeks. Last year I had 1 huge week. This year I've got 2 really strong weeks, unfortunately coming very late in early mid-August. The good news is I know I'm going to have these 2 strong weeks in August of 34,000 more units sold in week ending August 22nd, right? So the charts below here show me the sales trends. The bars are the sales, the line is the temperature trend. So I can see how chart right is precip trends versus, I can get an interaction of how is the weather moving up and down with my sales trends. So Matt, let's look at maybe some sales risk opportunities. How do I drill in even deeper? All right, so now I see, yikes, all my high risk regions on the left here where, DC 72712, I'm down 2,376 units. That's a bad problem. I'm going to have, I don't want to have too much inventory there. Maybe I want to reduce my inventory in those areas because I'm just not going to sell it. The weather is not conducive to high volume in those particular DCs. Versus my chart here to the right, Matt, you're showing me here, showing me my very positive season. I got 90242. I'm up 476 units, and 6660. I'm up almost 400 plus units, right? So now I can see exactly how my opportunities to tell my retail customer, hey, you need more inventory in these DCs, and here's why. Chart below here actually shows you my 3 years of my sales trends, right? Sometimes my peaks are very early, and the 2024 I had an early spike and then a huge spike, in the June timeframe. My 2023 season, the green line there, right? I had a much later starting season. And unfortunately, the purple line's the forecast. It's a much softer season for this particular category. We're going to have a big down season. So we got to capitalize on that big August week or any early season opportunities. We really have to capitalize on this. So the tool now tells me this, where I need to focus on risk and opportunities and plan for that. Matt, down below here, we got temperature trends and sales trends. So we can see in the year ahead forecast, both in the past, the red bars are where it's much, much hotter, good for my category here. Blues are much, much colder weeks, bad for my sales. And on our chart right, we've got the precip trends. If it's up, it's much wetter. If it's down, it's much drier. So I can kind of see that, yikes, I've got a lot of blue here. I've got a lot of a colder season for this particular category that's not favorable. So Matt, now if we wanted to look at, say, maybe exporting this, I want to export this to my retail customer, right? This, big opportunities here. How can I do that? Awesome, right? So now I can export this into the actual raw data in Excel or CSV, or actually get a PowerPoint version of this chart and then send it to that customer. So we'll talk about next here about some of the agentic AI features that DOMO's helped us build in here that actually could do that in seconds, that you could actually send a full report of what you want to say to that customer. This is why we want to increase our units by 43,000 units, because here's what we see with Weather Trends year ahead sales projections. So we'll talk about that agentic AI feature next. So now what's really neat about the DOMO Weather Trends 360 solution here is that they built in this agentic AI capability to really dive in deep into the data, right? So I want to tell my retailers, what are the top 5 selling regions, or when these periods are going to occur. And so again, we're going to ask the AI chat, the 360 IQ chatbot, and see what it comes back with. So it's already telling me in my answer here is the top 5 region. The forecast is region 17. I'm going to sell $275,000 worth of product. Region 6, 242,000. So again, it's just a way to quickly now, if I wanted to send this to my big retail buyer, or Walmart, Amazon, Home Depot, whoever. Again, a quick email to this tool. This is why I'm asking you, customer, to plan up, because we're seeing a huge opportunity here in a soft season. We want to capitalize on these big opportunities. All right, so now I am not a software engineer, so I'm going to tee up Matt Alonso, our CTO, again here to talk about DOMO's incredible technology, this magic ETL, way over my head. But again, the power of The challenge we have as a company is collecting all the seasonal point of sale data from all our customers and creating thousands of sales planners a year ahead for all these 10,000 seasonal categories. It's laborious, right? I got to pull the data. Some humans got to pull the data. Some humans got to massage the data, check for errors, right? It's a very human process that we've had to deal with for the last 20 years. That's changed with DOMO 360 software solution and this capability, completely automated solution. Don't care where your data is. And again, I'll just let Matt talk about how, again, it's over my head here, but how Magic ETL, the DOMO solutions made this warp speed and saved us internally probably a head count of 6 people. So Matt, take it away.
So the great thing about this is you don't need to be a software engineer to put together these really complex transformations. So something that might have taken you, days, weeks, months, as far as the transformation to build out, you can just come in here using Domo's Magic ETL drag and drop interface and build the whole process out yourself. So you don't need to know Python. You don't need to worry about the scripting. You don't need to build a compute environment. You just need to be able to come over here, take the tiles that you need, and place them however you want in the workflow. It could be anything as simple as grouping by, but you can also do really complex stuff like auto ML inference, clustering, anything you could possibly need to do in a transformation process. This allows you to do it. And to Bill's point, I mean, the headcount that we saved by just being able to take these elements and structure them together how we need to, especially in someone else's compute environment, really streamlines the whole process. So they built this so it meets you wherever your data is, and that's made our lives so convenient.
So Matt, if you could just describe to me, so this is our workflow then, again, how we're going from collecting clients' point of sale data, we model it with our Power of 1 Degree technology to predict those sales, and then by week, by any geography, from store to zip code to warehouse, to get that final forecast year ahead that shows up in the 360 app. So I don't know, show me just some of what all these, are taking us through the flow here.
For sure. So what this is doing is this is blending our historical data together with our forecast data and marrying it together with eventually the sales information. So you can see sort of the historical pipeline here on the top, and then the long range piece here on the top or on the bottom. And then we end up merging everything together here in this grouping. And so it allows you to however you need to align the data. So if you're trying to align by store, by zip code, or by weather metric, it allows you to pull all that together, and you kind of chain your groupings as you move along to only try and merge the relevant pieces of information until ultimately you distilled everything down into the final piece you need, which is, in this particular case, it has our historical information so you can compare year-over-year differences. It has the long-range piece of it, but then it also blends it together with our proprietary Power of 1 information to really help you build all the complex visualizations that you're going to need to really understand, what your sales are doing, what they've been doing, and kind of what you need to change moving forward.
The other real neat thing too, Matt, that this has done for us with Domo is, again, so our clients in the old days, right, we would deliver their year-ahead sales forecast, let's say for next winter 25-26, but that was it. We're done, right? There's again, no interactivity, which we have now. But the other piece is that because Domo's got the real-time hooks, Matt, to thousands of connectors. I mean, I don't know. It's a lot, obviously.
Yes.
And so wherever your data is, the neat thing now is that now we can marry that sales data with what happened to me yesterday, what happened to me last week, right? So now come Sunday night and you've got to answer questions to why are you down 87% because it's so record hot in the winter and your heater sales didn't sell, right? In the case, we'll talk about a Midea example here, right? We can explain exactly what happened, but real-time sales data, real-time weather data, here's how the weather influenced your sales last week. But more importantly, don't panic, client, because here's what we see the next 2 weeks. And we actually did this. This is what Midea did. They were able to alleviate pure panic with a big retail customer by knowing that, hey, look, we've had a soft week here, but look at the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 3 months ahead here where we've got the most epic season in 10 years, right? So the advantage of now leaving your data where your data is and having the hooks to this, real-time solution, right? Now you can answer all those questions. Oh, by the way, tap in the little agentic AI, WT360 IQ bot, and tell your customer what we just said here. Don't panic. We know you're down 67%, but look at this 4, 10 week, 3 month ahead pattern here. So again, Matt, this is so exciting here. This is, you have been able to do things at warp speed here with Domo's, again, Magic ETL, over my head, but Again, great stuff. Thank you. Again, this has been great. And again, we will talk to you soon. In closing, we'd like to thank the team at DOMO. This revolutionary concept is truly scalable across any industry. Let's talk.